With the stress of schools reopening amidst an international pandemic, students reappear on the Northwest campus with a lot to think about. It's already difficult to manage busy schedules, academics, and social lives all at once, and it can be hard to do it and not feel overwhelmed. In this episode, we meet Cayla, a member of the mental health awareness group of Northwest Active Minds. Cayla, welcome to the program.
Thanks. Great to be here. I'm really excited to spread more awareness about mental health and whatnot across our campus. So thanks for having me.
Of course, we're glad to have you. So talk to us about Active Minds. What is this organization? It's a fairly new one, am I correct?
Active Minds, we founded Active Minds at Northwest Missouri State University last year, so in August of 2019. And so this is technically our second year on campus. As you said before, we're a mental health awareness organization. So we hold different events, we do fundraising, different advocacy campaigns to kind of, like I said, raise awareness, but also bring more resources to our campus in regards to mental health for students. So we'll hold events where we host discussions and things like that, different speakers. We actually have a movie discussion coming up here in the next couple of weeks in honor of National Suicide Prevention Month. So we'll be having a video, showing a movie in regards to that, and then having a discussion afterwards to open up that conversation. We also hold different fundraising events. We held one over the summer. It was called Here For You. It was virtual with everything going on. But basically it was our Here For You campaign that Active Minds was doing. And it just was to spread the word of basically telling your friends, your family members, your peers, things like that in times of crisis, especially that, hey, like, I'm here for you. How are you doing? How are you really? And kind of trying to have those conversations with those around us and checking in with those around us to make sure, we're all doing okay in this crazy pandemic that the world is experiencing. So we do things like that. And then, like I said, we also do some campaigns. So for example, we had two campaigns that we did last year, the ID campaign and the student fees campaign. The ID campaign was to add the crisis hotline, the suicide hotline, to the back of the ID cards. And so we had that going along with the student fees to help increase the student fees towards mental health resources and services on campus. So we have some more of those campaigns in the work for this school year as well that we're really excited for, like trying to have more mental health resources and panels shared at orientation for freshmen, or putting mental health resources on syllabi in the classroom so we can help spread more awareness on those resources in multiple areas on campus and just things of that nature. So basically just trying to start that conversation and spread awareness on the resources that students do have available to them. And then also just being a group where students can come together who are passionate about mental health and kind of be there for one another and help spread the word for other students so they know the resources that are available for them.
And so Active Minds, just for our viewers, is a national premier organization for specifically college campuses. And it was started by a person named Allison Mallman.
Can you just tell us about the national organization as well? Like, what's their mission statements and what they are trying to stand for amidst all of this craziness that's going on in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually have kind of a unique perspective from the national to the national organization as a whole, because I am on the student advisory committee, for the 2020-2021, lots of 20s in there, school year. So I get to have a little bit more of a hands-on experience into what nationals are doing. So as a whole, the motto for Active Minds is change the conversation about mental health. And so the national organization works really hard to do that in multiple different ways, similar to the smaller chapters and college campuses, and they are actually on a few high school campuses as well. We're trying to get one on a local high school campus, Nottoway County High School. I'm butchering the name of the Nottoway Holt, High School. We're trying to get a chapter there as well. But anyways, as I was saying, they focus a lot on the similar things that we do on our smaller college campuses, where it's hosting events. They have different things where you can have speakers come in, and they have their own speakers that they can send to different schools. They have different events like Send Silence Packing, and they bring a whole exhibit to different campuses to spread awareness on suicide and help with suicide prevention on campuses and things of that nature. They also do fundraising to help distribute different resources to campuses all across the United States as well. And they do a lot of like programming, things like that. They have a lot of lately with how everything's been virtually, and with, like I said, the pandemic, the current racial climate, things like that. They've really been trying to be proactive. And so with that, they have come out with lots of different things, like a whole new advocacy campaigns where it's called Your Voice is Your Power. And that is one of the ones that we'll be working on as Active Minds at Northwest chapter, one of their newer campaigns that they released with that. They're also doing an Active Mind Spirit Week, they call it, and that's basically to raise more awareness about just Active Minds as a whole and what we do and what they do for mental health all across the nation again. And so they partner with a lot of different companies and organizations to help bring different resources and bring different conversations to the table. But as a whole, they do, like I said, very similar things to what the smaller chapters do, just on a bigger scale, if that makes any sense. So they're the top rated nonprofit, like every year. They were last year. Believe they're going to be this year if they haven't already been. So they're really, really awesome. They do really great things. But yeah, like I said, their motto is basically changing the conversation about
And let's take a short break. When we come back, more conversations with our guest, Cayla Vertreese. You're watching Roundtable on KNWT Channel 8. We now turn to informative statistics gathered by Active Minds. They have done their own research for mental health, which is posted on their website. Facts and statistics show that 39% of college students will experience a significant mental health issue within their time at university. 67% of college students with anxiety or depression say they do not seek treatment for their condition. And 1 in 5 adults have a diagnosable mental health illness in the United States. Cayla, there's a lot of talk about mental health stigma on campus, and I know that that's kind of more of a general topic. We know that there is a stigma, but how do you think Active Minds is actively doing something to break the stigma?
Really, I think the presence of Active Minds as a whole starts that process of breaking the stigma. So I think, as you said, we are hearing a lot of talk about mental health lately, especially, I keep referring to the pandemic, but it's something that has impacted every single person in this world at this point. So it is something that has taken a huge toll on a lot of people's mental health. And they're really recognizing that. And so, like I said, just the presence of Active Minds as a whole on different campuses across the nation, I think is opening that conversation to end that stigma. I know specifically at Northwest, we have a lot of people who are interested in improving the mental health climate on our campus. And a lot of them still haven't heard of Active Minds. So when they do, we have a lot of people who are extremely interested in becoming members, helping in any way they can, collaborating with us, things like that. So it's just simply being that presence to say, hey, we want to advocate for mental health awareness. We want to advocate for mental health resources because we know mental health is important. And then just getting that message out there in general, I think helps with the destigmatization of it, because other people see that and they're like, yeah, like I agree. I didn't realize other people are going through this, but I'm definitely going through those similar things. And I didn't realize, we have these different resources that are available around us. And I think the more that we get that word out, and the more that we spread awareness on what resources that the campus does have available, it in and of itself kind of destigmatizes mental health in general, because the more people realize that, oh, they're promoting this because people are using it. They're promoting this because they see that people need it, and they're promoting this because it's not something that is a taboo subject, or should be a taboo subject, essentially. So the more they see this in public, the more they see this, you know, in the newspaper, or, you know, in their classroom, they hear the professors talking about it, they hear their friends talking about it. It just helps to break that down and, like we say, change a conversation and really just start it up in general. So like I said, just being a presence, and just through the multiple activities, events, fundraising, advocacy campaigns, things like that we do, that's what really changes the cultures on campus as well.
And I guess there's a difference between just, you know, feeling good and feeling happy all the time within your own life. There's a difference between that and just feeling regularly stable. And that's something I think when researching Active Minds was a big part of that campaign. So with that being said, like, you know, what does it really mean to like value another human being in that same kind of connection, you know, with mental health in general?
We have as many different platforms that people can be a part of, so we can meet people where they're at, because I'm really, really big on meeting people where they're at. But you know, in times where everything's virtual, you know, everything is on Zoom, and with cases rising in people's safety, and also people just having anxiety about being around others. You know I personally have had a lot of anxiety about being around people. And so trying to think about, okay, well, if we do have an in-person event, how can we also make sure we keep that virtual option for those who are quarantine, isolation, or just are anxious about being around a bunch of people, things like that. Or something that I'm constantly thinking about. But I'm doing our best with the virtual meetings that we've had so far. We had a virtual info meeting, and then this past one we had our first virtual general body meeting. And through that, we focused on, again, National Suicide Prevention Month, and we focused on setting goals. And so we had everyone kind of go around and introduce themselves, and then kind of tell us about, you know, their different goals. And obviously, you know, those things can be awkward and uncomfortable. I gave people the opportunity also, if they were too uncomfortable to share or whatever, to send me a private message, and I'll, you know, not call on them to speak or anything like that, because like I said, I want to meet people where they're at, and also allow them to join the group as at their own pace. Basically, I don't want anyone to feel pressured or rushed. I want everyone to feel comfortable and welcome in the organization. And so just trying to open up those conversations and get to know you, you know, very general, but I think it does mean a lot to people. I try and do a lot of things personally. So I try to reach out to people personally, especially, you know, if they haven't been there, or if things like that, just trying to connect the group in a way where it feels like they're actually, their membership is actually valued, rather than just being a number, if that makes any sense. So even if, you know, with masks especially and things like that, it's hard to recognize people, but we also have a group chat. So like in the group chat, just trying to send those messages and trying to get people to connect and understand that that's a platform for everyone. And so I've even been seeing, you know, more members, rather than just me constantly talking at people. More members are now participating and, you know, sending random things and saying like, hey, how are you guys feeling? Like, thinking of you, you know, or like, does this happen to you? So just trying to open up those conversations, and just those get to know you conversations in general. It's just how we have gotten started, I guess.
Well, thank you, Cayla. It's about time to take another break. When we come back, more information about Active Minds with our guest, Cayla Vertreese. You're watching Roundtable on KNWT, Channel 8. And we're back with another episode of Roundtable. I'm your host, Will Linder, and joining me is Cayla Vertreese, president of Active Minds. So 2020 has been this almost catastrophic time for mental health. There's an international pandemic. There's lots of riots and protests all across the world. Even school is coming back up, and we are so uncertain what that path will look like. Through it all, I just want to ask, how have you been through all this? Have you been holding up? Is there just things that you're unsure about? I'd like for you to talk about that.
Yeah, that's kind of a loaded question, but I really do appreciate it. So with everything going on, it's been a mess, you know, and every single thing that you just named off has been a huge part of my life over the past, you know, few months or whatever, when in regards to, you know, protests and riots, with the racial climate, being, you know, a African American, a Black female myself. And then with the pandemic, I, you know, was unemployed for a little bit, and things are still uncertain in regards to school, and I'm getting closer to being done. And so there's definitely a lot of stress going on in Cayla's world for sure. But I guess I've only been getting through it by constantly reminding myself of certain sentences or quotes. One that I've really been focusing on lately is "Every storm runs out of rain." This pandemic seems like it's never ending. The hatred and in the world, and just the back and forth, just everything that is just a mess in this world right now just seems like it's never ending, and it can get really, really defeating at times, especially when you know, we're in school and we're still expected to be doing all our different organizational responsibilities, on top of, you know, some of us are working, on top of our classes, on top of so many things all at once, while we still are not sure what's going to be happening within the next couple weeks. You know, we still don't even know if we're going to be here all semester in person. And so that's definitely been something that's taking a toll on my mental health, and I'm very much so a planner and a perfectionist. So the unknown is not, unknown does not go well with Cayla. And it's been something that I have to really train myself on. I've had to do a lot of soul searching, you could say, and trying to get myself to kind of take it back and get myself to realize, you know what, like, there's nothing that you can do. There's no point of stressing over it. Like, you know, the situation is what it is, and you know, we got to take it day by day. So I've gotten really good at that, and just trying to take breaks for myself, trying to take on less, which is hard because I'm in 10 billion things all the time, just because I love doing everything that I'm doing, and I love getting different experiences and making myself, you know, uncomfortable to promote growth in myself, both professional and personal. But definitely recognizing that this is a time where everyone needs to kind of take a step back and do things, take more time for themselves, because things are just so crazy. I've been forcing myself to do a lot of that. And so podcasts, true crime YouTube has been my best friend over this past time. Yeah, and but that's what's getting me through. You know, it's, again, day by day, and lots of self-care and lots of reassuring myself that, you know, I'm doing the best I can in the circumstances that I'm in.
You know, what can people start doing, just small things, just to kind of get their brain out of the loop and just create a better positive environment for themselves? What would you recommend?
So it's kind of different for everyone. And that's a really hard question, because, like, different things work for different people. You know, some people, they want a time where they just don't want to think about what's going on at all anymore, and they need something to take them away from that. So finding whatever that thing is for you, if that's what's going on for you, then that's what you need to do, whatever it is, whatever it looks like, whether it's just, you know, going for a walk, whether it's playing video games for an hour out of your day, even if you have an assignment to do, like doing that just so you can get yourself back in the zone. Or, you know, if you're someone like me that, you know, I know that I need to, like, get my brain up with things, but it's just not going to happen. You know, this is my reality. This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is what's on my brain 24/7. So for me, it's not realistic to just turn it off as much as people tell me to do it. Like, it just doesn't happen. So that I have to just distract myself more so. And so for me, you know, that looks like I said, doing the different things that I was doing, like podcasts and things like that, things where I literally cannot think about something else because I'm so deep into whatever I'm doing in the moment. So maybe that's finding something like that for yourself. But in general, if, you know, you're just having bad days and you're just really down because this is ruining all of your different plans, you're really uncertain about the future, you know, Zoom class is not great for you and you're better in person and your grades are really taking a hit from this, like I said, I just have to keep thinking of that quote, every storm runs out of rain, but also judging yourself with context. And I saw a video about this the other day, and it was funny, but it was so true. You have to, if you're not doing all the great things that you typically would do, that you were doing last year or whatever before the pandemic hit, judge yourself with context and make yourself remember that you're doing the best that you can in the situation that you're in. Like,
Yeah,
this is not
totally.
ideal for anyone. Yeah. And so just trying to retrain your thoughts to positive and judging yourself with context, and just that constant reassurance. Some people need it more than others. And I have to tell myself all the time, like, you're doing the best you can. You're doing great. Like, I will talk negatively to myself so much, and I have to sit back and think, I wouldn't talk that way to my friend or to, my parents or whatever if they're upset. So why am I talking that way to myself? And so definitely just retraining your thoughts and things like that, and then taking care of yourself for sure. Any way that looks for you, even if it's the smallest thing of taking 5 minutes to just not do anything, lay in bed and be in your thoughts. It can be something that small.
Well, I think I've learned a lot here, and especially from somebody who's so, knowledgeable about this particular topic. I just thank you so much for being on this program here tonight. So thank you so much, Cayla.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
We'll be back next week for more discussions on the topics that inspire change. You've been watching Roundtable. I've been your host, Will Linder. Up next is Adulting. Have a great evening.